are two badass spiritual gangster real estate entrepreneurs manifesting our best authentic lives and spreading the good word.
You're listening to Manifesting with Morgan and Madeline.
Hello.
Good day.
Good day, mate.
Are you ready to record the last episode of season 1?
Can we do it in a South African accent?
If you want.
I feel like I start British and end up Australian. And so I just split the difference and tell people I'm South African.
Perfect.
When I go out and try this out in the public. We'll skip it for today.
Season 2, Manifesting the Perfect Accent with Morgan and Madeline.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm ready. I know it's the last episode of the season.
Yas, queen.
Hello to our listeners.
Yes, thank you all who have been supporting us along the way as we've continued to refine our voices and share our wisdom. It's been really magical.
It really has. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
For the first time last night, someone came up to me and was like, I listened to your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, you do? It's like, this is great.
I get so embarrassed. I know one of my coworkers at the office the other day mentioned it, and I was so like starstruck because she has her own like successful podcast, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, she was saying how she really liked mine, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
oh, that's so exciting.
But yeah, so I guess this episode we're gonna kind of tie up all the things that we've discussed and to really show the final ultimate goal of these manifesting practices and lessons and tools.
Right, exactly, which is exciting to get to. I feel like this episode and this message is going to be almost even like you can listen to it first.
Yes.
You know, and then go back, because it's important to have the vision is very clear that this is why we want to do what we're doing.
Yes.
Today's episode is why. The why.
Yes. Well, so I guess we're just going to start with recapping everything that we've discussed so far.
Yep.
So the first episode, we talk about how the main foundation is unbecoming, and it's just basically becoming willing to unbecome the version of yourself that no longer is serving you or aligned with your authentic truth.
Right.
So
just be open to knowing that whatever happened that got you to the funk, or if you're in the funk, that you're willing to let go of whatever those things, habits, belief systems, the ways you speak to yourself, the way you speak to other people, your job or not. I mean, whatever that thing is, be willing to unbecome it.
Yes.
That's step 1. Yep.
And then the next step is learning to recognize that your life is a direct reflection of your internal conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So healing from the inside out, recognizing that you are the one responsible for your life.
Mm-hmm.
Things may happen to you,
right?
But they are happening to you for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And most circumstances in your life are a reflection of the lessons you need to grow and heal, or the byproduct of your internal frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just law of attraction at play.
I love you use the word responsibility. It feels really strong to say lesson 2 is just learning how to take responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
And what comes from that is all those things you just said.
Yeah, and just not blaming
anything.
Outside.
Nothing.
It is you. You are the sole power. You're the sole responsible entity for your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then the next episode, we start to discuss purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to realize and recognize that your purpose is not defined by a career or labels or titles, but our purpose is to reconnect with our life source, God, whatever you want to call it, and our authentic self, the unique individual we were put on this earth to be.
Right.
So purpose isn't about what you do for a living. It's
Yeah.
not about being a mom or a sister. It's not about a label. It's not about a title.
Right.
The purpose is to come home to you.
Right. Exactly. To connect to God, to be with yourself, and just to be.
Yes.
To human being.
Yes.
That is our only purpose.
And the reason we're talking about this stuff with manifesting, it might not seem like clearly connected, but manifesting is you're becoming a magnet to attract what you want.
Right.
And so in order to become a magnet for something greater than what you already have, you have to heal and change that vibrational frequency from the inside.
Right. Y'all know, like a refrigerator magnet, like there's some that stick real hard, and like you have to like try to rip that stuff off. Like you're like, and you have to go to the side of the refrigerator to get it to pull off.
Yes.
And then some of them, like you stick it up and it'll just fall right off.
Yes.
Exactly. We're changing the strength of the magnetism, because we're all magnets, period.
Yes.
Period.
For better or for worse.
Exactly. It doesn't matter.
So these steps are to help you become a magnet in a way that you're in your power and you're controlling what you're attracting.
Correct. Where you have a very clear sense of exactly what it is that you're attracting. And, you know, for the best of your ability, you're able to control that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then the next episode, we talk about something that I was very excited about,
Yes.
which is self-discipline. And so kind of the next step is to recognize the power of self-discipline and begin taking baby steps towards better habits and baby steps towards achieving your goals against all odds.
Yes.
So, you know, self-discipline isn't this rigid thing. Self-discipline includes taking time for self-care and
Right.
time to reflect and time for healing and time for self-development work. It's not this thing where it's like, I have to run 20 miles a day and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to feel aligned, but if you have a goal in mind, you've got to be prepared to push through incrementally, baby steps every day, or else it's going to take a really freaking long time, and you're not going to build the trust and the self-esteem necessary to push through the finish line.
Exactly.
Starting with a mindset that self-discipline is a part of this process, and finding the willingness to push through, that is the momentum that you create is what's going to push you to the finish line.
Absolutely.
And the more obstacles that you encounter and push through, the more magnetic you become.
Yes. Self-discipline is liberating.
I know, and it's weird, man.
I know. Just like boundaries, which we're going to get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, lean into it. And create that. Self-discipline is what you want it to be. You start where you're able. Like you said, baby steps.
Yes.
So you just practice whichever discipline it is that you choose. If it's brushing your teeth every day at the same time, or if it can be something so tiny.
Yes.
But it's imperative that you have the understanding of what self-discipline is, and that you have the commitment to yourself to be willing to discipline in certain areas to achieve your goal.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it builds your self-trust.
It does.
By pushing and demonstrating to yourself, oh my gosh, I can do this. Like
it does.
A big important part too is you've got to start small, because if you don't,
you'll burn out.
You're already creating failure.
Right, and then that's a whole nother thing with how it's going to backfire on you.
Yes.
So just be kind and start small and learn to trust yourself slowly.
Yes.
Don't try to force it and do it too quickly.
Yeah. So then the next episode we talk about intuition and the power of intuition with manifesting. And so the next step is to learn to hear and trust your intuition, your inner voice, and quit basing decisions on feedback from the outside world.
Right. Big, huge. You know, this is my jam right here.
Queen.
So intuition is all about connecting to that inner source, learning to lean on and trust that above all else.
Yes.
And really starting to make those practice steps towards following through with the feeling. A lot of people will say, oh, I had a feeling in hindsight, or I knew better in hindsight. And that's how you start to learn right there. Those are the indicators. So not only getting in touch with your intuition, but learning how to act on your intuition.
Or learning to trust it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's part learning to hear it. That's like step one.
Yep.
And step two is being brave and trust and acceptance and flow enough to just follow it, even if it doesn't make sense.
Correct. You don't need it to make sense. It doesn't. You don't have to be able to logistically explain why.
Yes.
You just must trust, and you must act upon what your intuition is telling you.
And one of my favorite steps, and our last interviewee even mentioned this, for the intuition work, like, you guys, if you can do anything that we've advised, like, this is something that's really paid off for me tremendously, which is to make note. I have a note on my phone that's titled pings. Mm-hmm. And every time I have that gut feeling, it's like a gut, it feels like it's coming from literally my stomach.
Right.
Or sometimes my chest.
Right.
But I know the feeling because I've been studying it and observing it. Uh-huh. But I write that shit down.
Yes.
And I mean, sometimes when I'm like in like a really like creative and like I can feel like momentum and I'm up leveling and I'm attracting, like I will reference that a lot because I tend to get a lot of those messages and those times. Mm-hmm. And then I also like need to like keep remembering what I've been told so that I can remember to follow those messages, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes total sense.
But like making note of those I don't know, cosmic downloads, you know, mm-hmm. like and starting to see, maybe you don't follow one and you see what happened when you didn't follow that message.
Right.
Or you do follow it and you see, oh my gosh, a year from now, I look back at this list of the notes I've taken and I'm like, oh my God, that makes sense. Holy cow, that was amazing.
Exactly.
And it's like free advice. It's like,
it's not just the free advice, it's the best advice.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It's the only advice.
Yes.
That actually matters when it comes to your life and when it comes to manifesting.
Yes.
But just in life, it matters. You know, and we're not saying don't be considerate of others, especially when you have a family or you have coworkers, or, you know, we have to still interact with everybody else in the world. So that this is not saying, hey, screw everybody else and only do you.
Yeah.
It's not a selfish thing. It's quite the opposite. It's a healing self-love practice by really being in tune with who and what you are and what you need and how you need to take care of that.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're really freeing the relationships up around you, because no longer are other people responsible for your decisions and happiness, and you're taking responsibility for that in yourself. You're listening to it and you're more whole.
Yes.
So you can show up better for everyone else when you do this as well.
And it goes right back to like the second point, which was, you know, healing from the inside out.
Exactly.
Like,
all of this stuff is connected.
Yes. Like, we don't go outside of ourselves. We start with ourselves. It starts with self-love. It starts with self-trust. It starts with being able to be in the room alone with yourself and trust yourself. Listen to your intuition. Be brave enough to like take these steps when you're called to do something. Like that is the foundation of manifesting.
Yes.
Period.
Like, know thyself. Period.
And we're so blessed, and I think this may be the one thing that separates us from all other organisms is that we do have this ability. Our brains are so powerful. We don't understand them, but like there are so many studies that show like different parts of our brain light up when we're praying or in a meditative state. There's this whole spiritual like consciousness that we don't understand, but we do understand when we lean into it and we start to learn it. And it's so cool because scientists can explain it to some degree.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. and intuition too, when we say advice and things, like this goes a step further, and a lot of we recommend a lot of reading material. A lot of people will use books as references or song, whatever, and those things are very important. But intuition, just to be clear, is one step past that, and it's just really like you shed everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing there, like you said, but you and God.
Yes.
You and God.
Yes.
You and yourself. You and your gut.
Yes.
It's all. That's what we're talking about here.
Yep. The intuition is this
It's the source
universal
of life.
truth.
Yeah, exactly. It's the exactly. It's the universal truth. Absolutely. Yes.
So then we start to get a little more specific in some of the things that we discuss with manifesting, and we talk about tests and triggers. So the next step is kind of learning how to recognize tests and triggers in your life and no longer react to the triggers, but instead use them as tools for healing. So just as a reminder, tests are kind of the sparkly, shiny things that come along when you're trying to manifest that aren't quite exactly what you're calling in.
Right.
They're testing you to see if you're really going to push through and hold out for that thing that you really, truly desire.
Right.
And it can look like a job that doesn't quite have the pay that you want, or a boyfriend that checks all the boxes, but he's still a little emotionally unavailable, or whatever. That's where we talk about the McDonald's and
the McDonald's and the steak or the Ruth Chris. It's the almost feeling.
Yes.
It's that, hey, I know for sure that this is the thing that is right for me.
Yes.
I know that tonight I cannot wait for that Ruth Chris steak, and I'm hungry, and I'm driving on the way to Ruth Chris Steakhouse, and Outback catches my eye, and it's closer and it's more convenient, and it'll do the job.
Yeah.
Am I going to stop at Outback, or am I going to push through and drive the extra 20 minutes
and pay the extra $100
and wait the extra hour for the table, or am I going to stop at Outback?
And exactly.
That's the test.
And once again, there's no passing or failing.
There's no pass or fail. Stopping at Outback is not a fail.
It's a flag. It's a
learning experience. It's an opportunity to check in.
But if you catch yourself not making it to the finish line and settling,
right,
then that's just a learning opportunity for you. You're like, okay, I really want this thing. I can't quite get there. Now let's do some work and figure out where I need to expand my self-worth and my self-trust so that next time around I can push to the finish line.
Exactly. Yes. So that's test. And what are triggers?
Triggers are the cute, fun little things that we experience in our daily lives that set us the fuck off.
Yeah, for real. Straight up.
And like tests, they're also wonderful tools.
They're great tools.
If you can check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yes.
And recognize in those moments when you feel set off. I just had it last night after having a weird afternoon, or good and weird, but yeah. And then I get home and something sets me off, and I'm like, I need to go to bed, but I can't because I'm so triggered right now.
I had a conversation the other day with a good friend of mine, and he brought up that something about work, and I just went on this rant. And he's like, Madeline, I never even mentioned that. I don't know where it came from. And I'm like, well, that's a trigger, obviously. And it was about buyers not being pre-qualified but wanting to look at property.
Oh.
And he said nothing about her not being pre-qualified. He said he just was saying and I was just like, and he was like, okay, well, sorry about that.
Yeah, and it's natural and it's fine, but you got to if you're going to live this life and try to manifest and have your best life, you have to learn how to not let these trigger moments take over you, but claim your power in those moments.
Pay attention, listen to them. What are they telling me? And respect it. Again, do your work, figure out where you need healing, expansion, release.
Yes.
A lot of times release and triggers. Tests are really more about expansion.
Yes.
And triggers are more about contraction.
Yes.
Release some stuff.
Declutter.
Yeah. Clean it out. So ebb and flow, Tests and triggers are the ebb and flow.
Yes.
So yeah, they're also a huge learning opportunity. And again, there's no pass or fail, but they're flags to pay attention to and help us move closer to the ultimate goal, which is to really be able to manifest the life that we want in a clear, clean, happy, fulfilling way.
Yes. Yeah. So then tests really really set the scene for the next episode where we talk about shadows. So tests are a good way to kind of discover your shadow, or I'm sorry, not tests, triggers. Yes, triggers are like the little cookie crumbs that can lead you right to your shadow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next step is to begin to reintegrate rejected aspects of yourself, which is your shadow, and slowly but surely return to your whole authentic self that you were born on this earth to be.
Right.
And so triggers are like this fun little way to see, like, the shit that sets you off a lot of times, if not all the time, is going to be directly linked to some aspect of yourself that you rejected in an effort to not feel pain or abandonment,
embarrassment, all rejection,
shame,
yes, any of that, shame, rejection, abandonment, fear, embarrassment, any of that stuff, are your shadows.
And you really well illustrated shadow work by talking about shining the light. Did you just shine the light and the cockroaches scatter?
It's true.
Yeah,
exactly. Like when we have that, or turn the light on, and when you're in the dark room and you're afraid, you turn the light on and you're like, oh, that thing that I thought was a monster is just a teddy bear in the bed.
Yeah.
So exactly, just illuminating, bringing light to, bringing attention to the areas of darkness that we have within ourselves, because we all have them.
And so what that looks like shadow for me, entitlement, neediness, attention whore.
Yeah.
And so what do I do with those things? I have been through one of the weirdest, rockiest seasons, and I've had a lot of good shit going on that's kept propelling me through, but it's been weird and crazy. Like this whole, you've been through a lot of stuff. We both have. This whole time we've been recording this podcast, we are not unscathed, but we're just using the tools we have in our tool belt to move past these hard times and really see what are the lessons we're trying to learn. And this last season, those 3 shadow words, life has been kicking my ass so hard that if I do not reconcile with them, I am going to lose my fucking mind. And so when it came to neediness and entitlement, I kept being small in work, and I know people from my job are listening to this, and I'm sure they'll respect and appreciate that I'm being open about it, but I kept undervaluing myself because I was afraid of being perceived as needy or entitled, and then I was getting burnt out and resentful towards the people that I love. I love my job, I love my team, but until I had to reconcile with those shadow words, and even though it made me so freaking uncomfortable, I had to advocate for myself.
You do.
And once I did, holy shit, magic happened.
Yes.
And then with the attention whore thing, this podcast right here is a part of me reconciling with that.
Yeah.
I want to be in the spotlight.
Yes.
But I can't be in the spotlight if I'm convinced that I'm gonna get rejected or abandoned for being seen as an attention whore.
Right, exactly. So this is work that's helping you heal those things, which is what shadow work is.
Yes.
And so, I love that you're letting people know we are doing this work. We all do this work daily.
Yes.
We're all doing this work together. And in community, learning as a tribe that we're going through this together.
Yes.
And when we do have the things that hit the fan, and we do have the horrible weeks and the days and the crazy things that happen in life, we're not stopping anymore. We're not letting it just totally derail us. Yeah. We're sharing those experiences. We're living together. We're lifing together.
Yes.
And we're doing the work together, and we're supportive of ourselves first. And by doing that, we've attracted community that can support, and tribe that can support that as well. So if you find yourself being really alone, and finding you can't really connect with people or feeling lonely, I would really encourage you to start doing your shadow work, because I feel like it leads you to the understanding of what it is you're rejecting about yourself, so that you can understand why you feel rejected by other people.
Yes, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, because if you feel lonely, the only way to understand how to move past and to connect and attract community and tribe is to work through those rejected parts of yourself.
Because those are the things that you're running from and
Right.
afraid of in yourself.
And are afraid that other people are seeing in you, or that they don't want to be around, or what have you. And it's not true, you know? 99% of the time, it's not true.
Yeah.
It's just we're all the things.
Yes.
So, and accepting that when you do your shadow work, we are all everything.
And the purpose of that is just to be a holistic, integrated, like, it gives you peace. It gives you so much peace,
Right.
and your self-worth, like, you're not tethered to these things that you have shame about.
Right.
It's just one less weight that's pulling you down and
Right.
keeping your vibe low.
Right. And it's a lesson in release, which is big.
Yes.
Just releasing those feelings and ideas that you can be in a state of your shadow word, but you are not your shadow word.
Yeah.
And it just releases that attachment to that identity, which again is imperative if you're going to manifest what you want, because you can't be attached to thinking that you're these things,
or being afraid of being seen as these things.
Being afraid of being seen as these things, exactly.
Because then Mr. Ego comes along.
Right, that's all ego.
And
yeah.
puffs up and makes you separate and disconnected and and scared.
And scared. And so you're just really
doing the rejection to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so shadow's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the next episode we talk about relationships as mirrors. And so you begin to see relationships as opportunities to reflect, heal, and grow, instead of viewing relationships as a possession or a need or something to fill some void inside of yourself.
Right.
And this is critical on so many levels. It's a weird kind of abstract concept, but once you start to recognize, like, in one way, you mirror the relationships that you saw in your upbringing. So then you go on in your adult life and you start mirroring these same patterns and behaviors in your adult relationships, and you're like, WTF, why am I turning into my mom and dad every time I date someone? And so that's one way that shows up. And then there's the parent-child mirror. And really, like, every person we encounter, they come our way because we've attracted them for some reason, either because they're going to reflect some of our shadow, or they're going to reflect some of our strengths, or like, relationships, the humans we attract and encounter, it's not because, like, we've done something wrong or because we need them or anything like that. It's just an opportunity to learn.
Right. Everyone is a teacher.
Yes.
And everyone is a mirror, because, like we said, everyone is everything.
Yes.
The more that you learn and understand that everyone is everything, the easier this concept will start. It becomes, it goes from abstract to, like, relatable.
Yeah.
The more that you really process, we are all beautiful, independent, dependent, we're all happy, sad.
Yeah.
We're all the things.
Yes.
And the relationships as mirrors just highlight, when we interact with other people, maybe how much of those things are on display at the moment.
Yeah.
Or that we attract, or that we feel, or that we connect to at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's an opportunity to remind ourselves of the work that we've done and how we feel, how confident we are in that work.
Yeah.
And where we want to continue to go. And we thank everyone. And some people come as a reason, some are a season, and some are for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And we thank everyone that we encounter, even if it's just, it can be the cashier at the grocery store. And we're thankful for that encounter. Because, like you said, it's an opportunity.
Yes.
And the more that you just understand that when you're in relationship with others, that those things that come up are a reflection of what's really going on inside of you, and you heal those things, the more that we're able to move through life smoothly and be less attached.
And don't take things personal.
Exactly.
Like once you see, like, okay, this isn't happening, it's not a reflection of me. Like,
right.
This person being an asshole isn't because of me.
Correct.
It's so liberating.
It's
and it tears down the walls between
right.
each human.
You just have that moment when you're like, hey man, I know I'm an asshole too sometimes. You know,
or I'm not going to play this game. I'm going to go in the other room.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I know, I get it. And like right now, it's just not the time to engage with it. I've done the work. I'm confident here that I don't really need to do this right now.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on, and then you're not attached and you're not mad at that person anymore, because you've detached from the expectation that that person is supposed to fix you or fill you or you know, complete you in a way.
Yes.
Because we're already complete.
Yes. Love it.
And they're already complete.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need us either, which will move us into the next category, I think.
Yeah. So actually, the next one we're talking about boundaries.
Exactly.
And codependency.
Yep.
So the next
Perfect
episode,
segue.
We talk about how you begin to master the art of boundaries and recognize and start to limit or recorrect some of the codependent behaviors you've had.
Exactly.
So,
which is what we just said, just kind of slides on into this one.
Exactly. And then to the next one too.
Yeah.
But I think this episode is really, really important. I mean, I think they all are. All the lessons and all of them are.
They're all connected.
This one was really important for me as a child of a lineage of addicts and alcoholics and just like kind of chaos and not a lot of self-esteem building like behaviors and patterns in my upbringing. So I became extremely codependent because I'm like constantly trying to get approval from others, and codependency is basically marked by basing your self-worth on the reactions of others.
Exactly. Making sure that you feel your value is a direct reflection of what someone else thinks of you.
Yes.
How someone else treats you.
Yes.
Codependency at its finest.
Yes.
This is about detaching from that.
And so boundaries, from that. A big indicator of codependent behaviors, patterns, relationships is an inability to set boundaries.
Right.
Because you're scared to death to set a boundary and say no to something you don't want because you're afraid that person's going to reject you. Right. And when all of your self-worth and your value is placed on how others feel, how the fuck are you going to set a boundary?
Exactly.
And that is the absence of power.
That is the opposite of power, right? And that'll keep you super stuck.
Yes.
And keeps a lot of us stuck. I think it's a big, big, big deal. The moment that you also understand boundaries are in a way also related to self-discipline.
Yes.
Because when you learn to set boundaries, you free yourself.
Exactly.
And it's so crazy how we have these self-limiting beliefs about discipline and boundaries that they're going to, in some way, even the word boundary, you think about it as like a way to keep us in.
Yeah.
But the reality is that boundary keeps us safe within ourselves so that, again, we can continue to stay in our power. And by doing so, gives other people permission to stay in their power.
Yes.
And when we're all walking around this earth in our own power and in our own voice and in our own self-worth and in our own alignment, we're serving the world and we're serving one another by doing that. So it frees you when you can say, no, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And we're terrified that it's the opposite. We're terrified that it's the opposite.
But it's fucking lying.
It's
lying.
A lie from the pit of hell. Don't listen to it.
Oh man.
Learn to set boundaries. Boundaries are so important. And they're a huge indicator and check-in with the people that are going to be going on this journey with you.
Oh yeah.
And it'll help you real quick.
Yes.
With like figuring that out.
Yes.
And that's imperative.
Yeah.
That's important. You gotta have all that stuff in check to have a smooth ride up the manifest mountain.
Love it. Yeah, so then also another thing I wanted to say about codependency, just in the latest lessons, like I really feel like I just had a huge breakthrough after a really long, grueling season of trying to figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, you did.
And so, like, a big part for me is I started to recognize codependent behaviors in an aspect of my life that I thought it was only in like romantic relationships or friendships that codependency appeared, or family. I didn't realize, like, any freaking human relationship, whether it's work or whatever, that codependent behavior can arise because it's you placing your value on the approval of others.
Right.
And so a big way that I was finally able to cross the codependent threshold and get back in my power was doing the freaking shadow work.
Yep.
Because until I reconciled with those shadows that were keeping me in this like codependent space, until I was able to like overcome them and shine light on them and accept that, okay, fuck it, maybe I'm needy, you know, maybe I'm entitled, who cares, I've got to get back to my best life.
Right.
Then the codependent behaviors,
of course you're needy, we all are.
Yeah, but then I put the freaking boundaries up,
right,
to make space for what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they had not been accepted or rejected, I would have moved on. That was my sign. It was time to move on.
Right.
And that's all that this is with relating with others. When you set a boundary, like you said earlier, and people don't respond to them, those aren't your people.
Those aren't your people.
And you just freed up all this energetic space, this heart space, this head space, this energy to receive somebody that is your people.
To attract the proper job, relationship, friendship, life.
Yes.
Yeah. How you can't receive the life, and that includes all those things that you dream of, if it's already taken with the life you don't want.
Yeah.
You gotta release it, and doing all this work, it'll work itself out.
Yeah.
Just trust it. It'll work itself out. I'm telling you. Always does. If you take care of yourself and do this work, everything else will work itself out.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. Yay.
So then the final lesson, or actually second to last lesson, was about non-attachment and connectedness.
Mm-hmm.
So we began to practice non-attachment and then connect with ourself, the present, and others as often as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And what this means is we quit attaching ourselves to the past, to the future, to an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
We accept the present for what it is and we lean into it. And then all of a sudden, resistance kind of dissolves, scarcity dissolves, because guess what? If you're breathing right now and you're in this moment alive, you're okay.
Oh, I love that. I want you to say that again. I want you to say it again. I'm serious.
If you're breathing right now,
you're okay.
Yeah. So if you can if you can learn how to recognize those times when you start to get that like squirrely feeling where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough money. If I don't get $10,000 by the end of the year, I'm gonna freaking lose my mind. Mm-hmm. That is attachment.
Right.
How can you transition that? Like, if you find yourself in this like weird attached scarcity, or like, oh, I'm clinging onto my relationship, like my boyfriend might leave me and I have to be with him, like that's another example I see. It's like money and relationships, I feel like attachment manifests the most.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like to spin that is to get present, realize everything is okay, quit letting the squirrels take over. Then you can access your intuition, which is going to give you guidance to get the hell out of whatever place you're in that's scary.
Right. A big word for me with detachment is also grounding.
Yes.
Being present, grounding, and you know there's so many ways to ground yourself, but the ultimate goal is to be present, like you said. And here's where the big kahuna trust situation comes in when we get to detachment and being in the moment. Learning what you just said and believing it. It's the belief that everything is okay.
Yeah,
that will ground you. We can say it just like anything, but really, really taking your shoes off, putting your feet on the earth. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but it is really a big deal to really ground yourself and connect.
Yes.
Like I said, touch in with your senses: sight, smell, touch, taste, sound.
Yeah.
And what you said is true. Then when you're able to really be present, you're not attached to the past. You're not depressed and thinking about all the things you should have, could have, would have done. You're not kicking yourself. You're not going over, you know what I'm talking about, like going over things in your head about how things could have been different or should have been different or would have been different, because that's not real. That's a lie you're telling yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, detaching from the future. You're not anxious, squirrely, like you said, like, what's going to happen? How's this going to happen? How's this going to play out? I have to do A, B, and C for D to happen, or blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, whew.
Yeah.
No. What is actually happening in this moment? What can I and can I not control?
Yes.
Myself.
Yep.
That's it.
Yes.
And when you do that, the detachment occurs naturally.
Yep.
Because you realize that you weren't as much as you wish that you were in control of all those things, and as much as you wish you can control the future, you can only control yourself. And that is the true connection to presence, and it detaches you from all the expectations that you have of everyone else and all the things, and it allows you just to really enjoy who you are and who you're with.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here. That's the being of the human that we're talking about, is your purpose. That's your only purpose.
Exactly.
Is to be.
Yes.
The manifesting stuff and the fun, that's just fun.
Yeah.
That's fun stuff that we're like, this is fun and cool, and it gives us something to be lit up about that ultimately just brings us back to this purpose, which is to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all the other steps that have led up to this are so that you can feel safe, like your internal, you have to start to heal your wounds and look at, like, why do I have these behaviors that are obstacles to me living my best life? Like, you have to be able to peel back the layers and start to be vulnerable so you can get back to your true self.
Right.
And that's what you become non-attached to the ego identities that you've created to stay safe,
right? So
that you can peel those layers that get in the way of you truly connecting with others and your authentic truth.
Exactly.
And once you can get to that place, it's scary as shit. You couldn't go from like this like wild animal self, this like total ego controlled self, to like this place of feeling safe enough to detach and connect. It takes work to get to this place.
Correct. It takes all these steps that we talk about to get here. Yeah, for sure. And it's important that you do the work.
But once you get to here, you will freaking recognize it.
Right.
And you will see how much faster your manifestations come to you and how much higher your bottoms get when you start to fall.
Your rock bottom has a new high.
Yes.
That's what you said,
yes.
Right? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Your rock bottoms start to, you used to go all the way down to 100, and now your new low is 50.
Yeah.
And then your new low is 25. And it just goes from there. And only you're in control of how quickly this process works or how long it takes. Only you are in control of knowing yourself and how much time you need in between these places. Ultimately, we all have the ability to tap into being present right now.
Yes.
It might only last 15 seconds, but that's okay. So practicing just maybe a simple affirmation, everything's okay. I am okay. Maybe just I am okay.
Yes.
I am okay. If you start to practice telling yourself that, it will create the neural pathway to all this work will start to make sense, and you'll start to believe it. And then when you say I'm okay, one day you'll get chills like I'm getting now because you'll believe it. And you'll know that, okay, I'm okay. Yeah. I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I think we should take a break and listen to this week's interview.
Sounds
and we'll wrap this up.
Okay.
Are we having a technical difficulty?
I don't know. Are we? Oh, there we go. Each week on Manifesting with Morgan and Madeline, we will share a story from a listener who used the global pandemic in 2020 as an opportunity to up-level personally or professionally.
One moment, please. Oh, goodness. What is your name, age, city, and profession?
My name is Kasey Stack. I am currently 35 years old, living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am a bartender, and I've just got into real estate.
Awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about the circumstances? What was your life like leading up to the pandemic in March of 2020?
Well, let's see, I had just turned 34. I'm still kind of a little bit in the party mode, working at a bar, staying up late, getting up late, no real dreams kind of in my head really, just kind of floating along life, dating a musician that also works late hours. But I knew I kind of wanted to get involved in real estate, so I had taken my classes and all that. But just kind of got distracted, picking up more shifts at the bar and, not really focusing on myself, really. So I didn't have a whole lot going on, just working and going through the motions, really.
Got it. Yeah, so you're laying a good foundation right now. So how exactly did you up level during COVID and the pandemic?
As far as up leveling, I definitely would say it was a huge life changing experience for everybody. But in the beginning of the pandemic, we kind of used it as like, it's a party, like we're free, we don't have to work, yada yada. Everybody thought it was kind of just like a 2-week vacation kind of thing, but then reality kind of hits, and then you realize, this is a little bit longer than 2 weeks, and things get weird. Went through a breakup. I had to get my dog's eye taken out. I had a lot of hardships. You realize you're by yourself a lot, and I don't know, you gotta just kind of reevaluate where you're at. So I kind of just decided I would take this time to work on myself really and see what I could accomplish with my free time in a positive aspect instead of in a negative one, really. I forget where are we going with this.
Yeah, so what exactly did you achieve during this time when you decided to focus on yourself and work on yourself?
Yeah, so I realized that I really love nature and I wanted to be outside more. So, I fell in love with my own personal hobbies again. So I went and got my real estate license and joined on with a firm and started hitting the streets and hiking and walking and running and lost 35 pounds, almost 40 pounds, got in shape again, started to love myself again, and just started a new career. I started seeing a therapist to help me mentally and kind of just took everything and switched a quick 180 on myself and put everything in check, really.
I love it. So how did you stay motivated and focused during this process?
You have to be self-motivated, really. You just got to wake up and know that you're the only person that can give yourself anything that you need and make yourself happy. I think we all get caught up in trying to find happiness externally from other people or relying on other people to make us happy, and you're never going to find it that way. You got to find it within yourself. You got to find the motivation within yourself. A lot of people say they need accountability partners or they're codependent or whatever. It's not going to get you very far unless you can find it. The motivation within to keep going. That's really the best way that you're going to get anything accomplished.
Amen, sister. I feel you on that one. So did you face any challenges when you decided, that you wanted to start working on yourself and pursue a new career and get fit? Did you have any challenges?
Well, just by not working and stuff, it's challenging because you are alone a lot. And, there were many, many a days where I didn't hear from anybody at all. And there were some financial challenges because it wasn't working. Unemployment ran out for a little while. But, it's free to go for a walk. It was free to go for a run, and it made me happy. So I'd say that was the biggest challenge, was just like the loneliness and, financially. But at the end of the day, you're going to sleep and you're feeling good about what you accomplished for the day. So it would be worth it in the long run.
Love it. So, do you have any words of wisdom for everyone else from what you've learned and what you've overcome?
I would just say, just make sure you're taking care of yourself first and foremost. Always kind of put yourself and your health ahead of most anything in this life, because it's really all we have at the end of the day. I think I was a little codependent on other people, and it was not going to get me anywhere. And I was taking my job home with me and unable to sleep, worrying about people. And it's like, man, these people aren't thinking about me or worried about me. I'm not even worried about me. So I would say, all we have in this world is ourselves. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself 100%.
I agree with that so much. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Not really, it was definitely a challenge. It definitely took a lot of work, but I made it out on the other side, way ahead of where I was. And it just took some leveling up, really. And that's what I think we all need to do in this life, is just constantly try to evolve and level up.
Love it. I agree as well. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Absolutely, Hannah. I appreciate you giving me a shout.
You're welcome.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like when she was like, these people aren't worried about me. I'm not worried about them. I'm not even worried about me.
Ugh.
That was powerful.
I know.
How can I be worried about me when I'm worried about everybody else?
Exactly. And why are they going to give a shit about somebody that doesn't care about themselves?
Exactly.
It's like a vicious cycle.
It is. It's a rough little hamster wheel. Getting off of it.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like she hit on so many things, so many of the themes from this season, and that little 7-minute interview.
She just kept it really simple, and it was very clear.
Yeah.
I love it. She wrapped it up for us.
That
was
Thanks,
perfect.
Kasey.
Kasey.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just kind of get to the main point of this episode. So, we've learned how to manifest. If we've been using all these tools so far, we know what we're doing.
Right.
And we recognize we are solely responsible for the outcomes in our lives. We've learned how to trace the root of our trauma and reprogram limiting beliefs and behaviors that no longer serve us. And in the process of learning how to manifest a better life, we end up manifesting a better self.
Exactly.
And that is what this message is about today.
Right. That's the goal.
So you start, generally when you're starting to learn about healing or self-development or manifesting or whatever is the entry point to this rhetoric. Yes.
I want you to use that reference because you said that the other day and it was so good.
So you find a carrot to chase.
Right.
Whether it's I'm tired of being single, or I want to make more money, or I want a new house, whatever. You get a little carrot you want to chase. That's manifestation number 1.
Yep.
So then you start to do the work, and then all of a sudden, after some hard work, depending on how big the carrot is that you're chasing, and starting to reclaim your power and align with your authenticity and your truth, and declutter, then you get the thing.
Yep.
And then maybe you do it. You start to build trust, and you trust the universe. You trust yourself. You learn how to really push through with self-discipline practices, and then you find another carrot. It's bigger. and then you go through the work again, and maybe this time it's a little harder and it takes a little longer, or maybe it goes faster because you learned before and you can apply this more easily. You get that next carrot.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, after enough of this process, it doesn't become so much.
It doesn't matter about the carrot anymore.
It's the person that you've become to manifest. And that is the ultimate manifestation. And once you feel yourself in that place, like I'm getting goosebumps right now, because like this is what my life mission is to teach people these things that I have learned that have propelled me forward, because now I see life with such clarity. I see humans, every human is somebody I love automatically. They're my brothers, they're my sisters, they're an opportunity, they're like, there is not these boundaries, these fears, this limiting beliefs, these unhealthy behaviors, they melt away. Right. I mean, my body lost 15 pounds unintentionally by starting to let go of all the bullshit, you know? Like, this is what it's about. It's the person that you become to manifest.
Right.
And the ultimate goal, once you get to this place, you see the purpose behind the shit as it's going down. Right. You don't blame yourself. You aren't looking at others. You're in your fucking power. Yep. And you're able to push forward and manifest more. And then all of a sudden, like for me, like I used to not even go window shopping because I felt like it freaking sucked to go to the mall when I didn't have money. Yeah. But really, like, window shopping is you like seeing something that you want, and it gives you motivation to work towards it. I wouldn't even let myself look at anything because I'm like, there's no way I'm never gonna get that. Yep. And once I got past that and started to say, I'm gonna make $100,000 a year. Yeah. We were just talking earlier. $1 million doesn't even sound that foreign anymore. It doesn't. Like, I know in my freaking gut, in my heart, I will make $1 million in a year. Me too. Period. I know. 2 years ago, I may not have. I may have said that. I could have believed it in my conscious mind, but I freaking know it in my gut.
Right, because we've been doing the work.
Yes.
We've made way. We've cleared the path for our. We've created a new pathway.
Yes.
We've said it and said it and said it and said it until all of a sudden all the work backs it up. The trust backs it up, and then we believe it, and then it happens.
Yes.
And when we find this place, like what you said, chasing the carrot, like this is how the journey begins for people. They find a carrot to chase, like you said.
Yes.
And if you're a person who's ever chased a carrot, and here's the thing, you don't have to master these things to get the carrot. But if you've ever chased a carrot and you've caught the carrot and you still feel unfulfilled, and you're like, man, now what? This is what you need.
Yes.
You need this process next time, because if you don't apply this process, it'll be empty carrot after empty carrot, and the carrot will come, it'll go as quickly as it came.
Yes.
So we're not saying that it's impossible to catch the carrot without these self-building, these steps that help build us up to learn how to manifest. We're saying once you take the time to put these steps into practice, not only will the carrot have a different meaning, but it'll have a different value, and then eventually it won't even be about the carrot anymore, because we are the carrot.
And we have all the things.
Right.
We get to a place where we have all the things.
Right.
And this is another thing about this episode. It's about being able to co-create with the universe and each other and build a new world.
Yes.
And the new world does not start by going and protesting. It doesn't start from casting stones at people you don't agree with. The new world starts within yourself. Correct. And that is the only way that we are going to rise the tide of humanity is by each of us healing and growing and evolving together.
Yes, and independently together.
Yes.
Exactly. And all of that starts within, all of that heals within, and the more healing that we do, like we said earlier, the more healing that the world, you cannot achieve something like, I love the Mother Teresa quote, I will not attend an anti-war rally, but invite me to a pro-peace seminar.
Yeah.
Very clear. Very clear. And the carrot, the value, the satisfaction of catching the carrot becomes who we are and not what we are, what we want, what we're doing.
Yes.
So then once we realize that the value's been there the whole time and the satisfaction that we get from catching the carrot is already within us,
Yeah.
everything is there's no limits anymore.
Yes.
And that's the goal, is to get to that place, and that place changes the world.
Yeah. And I just thought about something too. I know, like I was talking about the window shopping thing. Like I used to kind of be hippie and reject material things, and now I'm talking about making $1 million. You know, that's a huge contrast from the surface. But really, why $1 million? So you don't have to want $1 million to be a good manifester and live your best life.
You don't have to want dollars at all.
Yeah, but for me, I started to learn my core values, the things that light me up more than anything, and that is beauty and glamour, that is self-development, and creativity and design, and then time, money, freedom, which encompasses like I love playing with money. Since I was a kid, like I would get, if I could count money in like a cash register or a piggy bank or whatever, like that would like soothe me and give me pleasure.
Right.
And so for me, making $1 million isn't about the material aspect. It's about being true to myself. Like that is what I find fun. Like
exactly.
Taking money and making more out of it, like that lights me up. You hear my voice right now.
Right.
Or, beauty, like getting a few different makeup subscriptions a month. Like that's, old Morgan would have been like, that's frivolous. But new Morgan's like, I love taking 2 hours on Saturday to play with new makeup techniques.
Exactly.
That's not frivolous. That's me lighting myself up and being true to myself.
Exactly. All of that is purpose, and all of that is the beings that we are.
Yes.
And I agree with that. And we are not preaching to manifest materials. If you want a material, you can manifest it.
Yes.
But the process of the manifesting, which ultimately brings us back to our authentic self,
yes,
which is what you just spoke about, is what we're trying to teach. Because when we are in touch with ourselves, when we know, then we're free. Like you said, we're free. We're not putting all this negative energy out into the world, because we're content.
Yeah.
And contentment in a way is freedom. We're present. We're not attached. So we can just enjoy the things that we enjoy.
Yeah.
And we give other people permission to enjoy the things that they enjoy.
And that is what it's all
That's
about.
What it's all about.
Because there's
I
mean, there's no way you can change the world more than being
work on yourself.
You and being true and being that bright shining light. People see that. Going and preaching at people, that ain't gonna change their mind. How many times have people told you what to do and you said fuck you and did something different?
Right, probably most of the time.
But when you lead by example,
it's
the most graceful and beautiful way to change the world.
And then the reasons that we want to manifest the things start to make sense. Like, quick example before we wrap up of $1 million. For me, what that symbolizes is no one in my community is going to go without power this week.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
No one, I manifested a table for my new house.
Yes.
And I had this vision, and these tables are thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Very high priced furniture. And I went with my dad and my daughter to Salvation Army, and there was a table here, and it was $75, and it didn't have the lines. And one of my authentic values is design also, so I really wanted it to look the way I wanted it to look. But the reality was, when I saw the table, I felt what I wanted to feel.
Exactly.
And I knew in that moment, the reason that I wanted that table to seat 10 people was because I wanted to seat 10 people at my table.
Yeah.
So y'all, this is what we're trying to teach. We're trying to teach you how to understand that you don't actually care about the table itself. When you can check the box where it looks good and it feels good, that's the goal, right?
Yes.
But the most important thing we're trying to teach you to learn about yourself is what's the carrot is the feeling.
Exactly.
That's what we want to do.
Yes.
We want the feeling because that's in tune with who we are authentically, and that's what we're projecting out. Therefore, that's what we're bringing back in.
Exactly.
So when I realized I don't care how the table looks, now ultimately I want my dream table, of course. But right now, that table will bring 10 people over to commune and to fellowship and to talk and to sit down and to connect. And that's what it is that lights me up.
Yes.
And that's why.
That's what you're hungry for. That is your carrot. That's why you wanted a house in the first place.
Exactly.
To be grounded in a place where you could have community again.
Exactly. So that's what we're trying to teach here, y'all.
Yes.
Yay.
Namaste.
I hope that everybody's enjoyed it. I think that we've got a lot of really great things coming in season 2.
Yes.
But wrapping up season 1 feels really good.
Yes. So thank everyone who's been listening.
Yeah,
and if this is the first time you've tuned in, please go back and listen to everything. There's so many valuable lessons and tools that we share. And you know, you see us, we're not on the yachts yet, but we are on the freaking way. And I think one of the best ways to get where you're trying to go is to just follow the advice of people who are where you aspire to go as well.
Yeah.
And I think I can hang my hat on saying that I would be probably a good person to follow.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You learn to trust what your gut is telling you, which is, hey, let's figure out who else has done this and how they did it. And then that just brings you closer to how you know you can do it.
Yep.
Which is our goal. Yeah, for sure. And we might not be on the physical yachts, but we on the spiritual yachts.
Yes, queen.
Okay, we riding up in that thing. Better take me to a restaurant and pop a champagne. Better put a bikini on. I'm all up in it. I'm there. I see it. I feel it. So yeah, y'all come get on our boat.
Yes. Well, thank you all, and
thank y'all.
We will be bringing you season 2 very soon.
Okay. That might have been like, maybe I'll tell people to listen to that one first. For real, like that might have been one of the best because that was so clearly defined.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Woo! I blanked out again.
Yeah.
But I know that I loved it. Oh my God, that was amazing. I love this time with you. It's so special.
I know, baby girl, and it's gotten so much. It keeps getting better.
I know, right? It's almost like, I don't mean scary in a negative way, but it's almost eerie how well it works.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's almost like
because it feels so aligned.
Oh, Steve! You okay? No, Steve just about choked himself on the wire. Oh no!
Well, I was trying not to bring my laptop down or break my ankle at the
careful
same
here.
time.
Yeah, okay. Dang. All right, let's do it. Sorry, I'm turning my.
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
Well, yeah, I was
Proud of ourselves.
Yes. I just